Hey everyone, we're just going to wait a couple of minutes for people to join the session. So yeah, I'll start it off. Welcome everyone today to Startup Tuesday, our monthly edition from World Startup. For those of you that are new today, Startup Tuesday is organized by the startup community in The Hague, which includes The Hague Impact City, The Hague Tech, Humanity Hub, Hotel School The Hague, Hague Security Delta, Yes Delft, The Hague Business Agency, Apollo 14, and ourselves, World Startup. And we're very excited today to have Melanie Aronson from Panion with us. And so without further ado, I'm going to welcome her. It's going to be a Q&A session, basically. So throw your questions in. Hard questions are welcome. And I'll be asking Melanie also some questions. And this session's going to be recorded. So you feel free to put in any questions that you want others to hear on the recording later, for the people that couldn't make it. To start off with, Melanie, what is Panion?
So Panion is a community management platform. It helps you build more meaningful online and offline communities. Think like an alternative to Facebook groups or a Slack group, but with more integrated tools to help community managers integrate events, do matchmaking, and run online communities that have an offline element built into it.
Cool. And the second question is, who are you? Where are you from? It's nice to know a little bit about you in three
Sure.
sentences. Fun
Three
facts.
sentences. Okay. Well, I'm a little bit of a nomad. I'm currently living in Lisbon, Portugal. I moved here in July. Before that, I was living in Malmö, Sweden, and before that, I was living in many different countries. But immediately before that, New York City. I'm originally from the US. I have a background in anthropology and documentary filmmaking. And I kind of became a tech entrepreneur by mistake. So I had an idea, I had a problem, and then I tried to resolve that problem, and it turned into a company.
How did you start your mistake or stumble across your mistake?
Yeah, so I ended up moving to Sweden on a Fulbright grant, which is a US government research grant. I was working on a documentary film project about integration at the height of the migration influx into Europe in 2014. And doing research for a film I was working on and hearing this same story over and over again. How do I make friends in this new place that I'm moving to? I'm moving to a new culture, and I just want to, start meeting new people. I have these hobbies, but I can't find anyone to do them with me. These kinds of recurring themes during my research. And I also have lived in quite a few countries, and over my lifetime realized that as you get older, it's harder and harder to meet people that you really connect with on a deeper level. So I thought maybe I can solve this problem and build a product that helps people connect. So it became just like a pet project on the side while I was actually running a film company. And then it just kind of evolved from there, and then it became my full-time job.
Yeah, it's pretty different from film. So how did you manage to get it off the ground? From just an idea in your head and some conversations and experiences of yourself to actually start doing something?
It's very different from film in some ways, but it's very similar to film in other ways. In both film and in creating a product, I mean, film is a product. You have an audience, you have a target, you have a story you want to tell. You have a team who's building something and helping you build that story and capture it, edit it, create it, deliver it. as a product. So in many ways, I'd say film actually informed this journey that I took, building this product. Gave me project management skills and a whole other lot of other skills to manage people and try to create something from nothing. But yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. I definitely made a lot of mistakes and kind of stumbled trying to find the right path, but I created a prototype of my idea. I showed a lot of people, I got their feedback. It kind of adapted over time, and raised some friends and family money, and was able to build a prototype MVP, got into an accelerator, and kind of took it from there. There were a lot of growing pains for sure, a lot of not really feeling comfortable in my own skin, not knowing the right terminology to use when talking to investors or pitching on stage. I mean, it was a very outside my comfort zone process, but very good for growth and learning how to kind of build something from nothing in a whole new industry.
And did you start on your own, or do you have any partners, or how'd that go in the beginning?
So in the beginning, I had this idea, but I was looking for partners because I knew, okay, you're supposed to find co-founders, and there is this way that things are supposed to go, or that's what everyone says. And I think the first few partners that I found were technical. I found them through people I knew, but we were living in completely different places. And I think, everyone kind of says they're working on things, and they want to be working on things, but they have other lives and other jobs. And somehow, a year after we started working together, I realized that the other people had not really had much time to do very much work on what I thought was moving forward. And then I realized it wasn't really the right fit, because I needed people that had the same amount of risk and kind of could put the same amount of effort in. And then I did again with I tried another co-founder, and again, it's hard to have co-founders who have very different skin in the game. So I was trying to really work full time and put so much effort into this, and then you have someone who has a full-time job and they really want to be part of it, but they can only do so much, and it becomes hard, feeling like a lot more is falling on your shoulders. And I also think it's interesting because when you start off and it's just you or you and someone else, you really need to be generalists. You need to be able to do everything, or be good at figuring out how to do everything, or be willing to do everything. You need to be very executional and operational. And I think along the way, you end up meeting people who love your idea, or they want to be part of it, but they don't really want to get their hands dirty, or they just want to consult in some way. And then when you give them a task, they're like, oh no, I can't actually do that. And everything at the beginning, you just need to get shit done. That's the mentality, and that takes a certain type of person.
Yeah, and it's the ownership, right? It was yours.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't feel that same ownership or have that same belief in the project. And you were and it's also like what you were saying, you're trying to find a community, right? That's the whole idea of a platform, and you're looking for this kind of co-founder, and having a couple of mismatches as well. That's also kind of speaking volumes to how difficult it is, even when you know exactly what you're looking for.
Well, I think also there's this misconception that a co-founder is necessary from the beginning, and that you have to find a co-founder and then build something. Whereas it's almost like saying go out and find a husband, a wife, a partner, someone, and then go from there. And it's really hard to search for someone that is the right fit. It's a lot easier to try people in other roles, and then they maybe evolve into that co-founder. And I think I wish I had known that earlier. So I had a lot of pressure from people at accelerators and from going to events and all of these things where I was like, oh, you need a co-founder, you need a co-founder, you need a co-founder, you need a technical co-founder. So I started like just trying to pull random people into my company, and then realizing I don't like this person. I do not want them to own part of this company. I do not want to spend my next 10 years dealing with this person just because I need to like check off some boxes that some investors want or that some accelerator wants. And I realized that like my partners are going to come from within. I'm going to find people who can be part of my team as employees, as collaborators, and the right people will fall into place and become bigger partners because we have a good collaboration, because we have the right vibe between us. It's not the other way around. And I think that was an important lesson that I learned, that you can't really force it. It's a huge decision, and you shouldn't do it just to fit into some, check off some boxes that people want you to do, because it's your company and it needs to feel right for you.
Absolutely. But how did your kind of team evolve? And on the same timeline, how did then, how did your idea evolve and your company evolve from, the prototype and to what it is now?
Yeah, that's a covering a lot of time. But so I started to build the team, finding team members in a variety of ways. Some of which I found on like Upwork and these freelance websites. Some people I found through the employment agency in Sweden, because I started my company in Sweden, and um, through friends, through Facebook posts. I mean, I just kind of started to find people who wanted to be part of this, tried to see if it was the right fit. And over time, and then trying to get customers and trying to get users. And I think, you kind of have to get your product out into the hands of the people to really see like what needs to happen, and where you need to improve it. And so we launched our version 1 of the product in 2019, January 2019. And within the first year, we had over 100,000 users on our platform. And this was at the time like more of a friendship app. It was an app for connecting people through common interests, values, and experiences. And it was like solely about meeting people in person and using tech as a tool to find people around you who shared your interests. And then when,
And
yeah.
one question on that: who are the users? Anybody or people in companies? Who are your customers that you were finding?
I mean, at that time, it was anybody. It was people, but we were really targeting expats, targeting people moving to new places, because our mission was to help people integrate better to new places. But then when COVID hit, that shifted, and we actually pivoted our entire product to become something else. So then our customer became completely different. So we realized we couldn't really be building a product for meeting people in person during COVID, because meeting people in person was not the safest thing to be promoting. So we actually started to shift our product more towards becoming a B2B tool for community management, because we saw that within our product, there were a lot of these like naturally forming groups happening, and we were seeing like community activity inside the platform. And we thought, okay, this is something we kind of proved ourselves wrong and realized, wow, during COVID, meaningful connections aren't about being in person. They're about having connections of substance, having things in common, having things that you're passionate about that you share. It doesn't necessarily need to be face-to-face in person. And that was something we learned ourselves during COVID, when people were really supporting each other from across the world. And we decided, okay, let's make this not about location, but about community building around a shared value or a shared cause. And so we shifted our entire product, which is we're still doing today. I mean, pivoting is a very, very long process. It's rebranding everything. It's rethinking your audience. It's rethinking your product. So today our customers are more people running global communities, people who want a tool that is user-friendly, that is ad-free, that is all about creating safe spaces online that give their members choices about notifications, about how they interact with their technology. And allowing people to build these global networks that also have a very local feel, because we still have the geolocation as part of the platform. So you can find people in your neighborhood, but you can also connect with people across the world.
And how does this still connect with the users that you had before? Because, you know, you launched in 2019, you said you had like 100,000 users. Those people, they were, you know, meeting face to face. Are they migrating to the new platform and making communities there, or is it another completely different product coming on the market?
So for the last, since then, we built these public communities where we kind of slowly transitioned those people into the concept of being part of a community. And we had these public communities where people could talk about things they were creating and things they were passionate about. I think one thing that we learned was that when you open up a product to the entire world, you end up with a lot of content moderation and a lot of moderation in
Yeah.
general. And for a product and our team our size, it became a bit overwhelming. And we decided that we didn't really want to be another social network. We really wanted to be like a B2B tool where people could build their own social networks around a topic or a cause. And that we wanted to leave the moderation to the people that were building those communities so they could make their own choices about what they wanted and what they didn't want inside their communities. So we still have right now, as of today, the ability for anyone to hop on the platform and kind of join these public communities, but it's something we're actually shifting away from because we want to focus. We can't be so many things. We need to focus. And we believe that we have some really powerful features and tools to help people build really different online communities and meaningful communities, and to bridge the gap between online and offline. So to have events that might be offline, but also have a space where you're organizing and keeping track of all those events, allowing people to have discussions, allowing people, matching people based on interests, all of these kinds of things, so that you have a space online for your community, even if your community also exists offline.
Yeah, and you know, I completely get what you're saying about the moderation. You know, that's been the scandal in the news with Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And and of course, all of the kind of stuff around Donald Trump and the elections and what they should have allowed to say and not say, and Twitter had the same as well. Um, and some people are championing free speech on one side, and other people are saying that's over the line. It gets into kind of landmines almost. You know, and it's a lot of work. I imagine that it's not delivering any value
No.
for you, moderation. So it's one of those decisions where you've got to be kind of selective about what your vision. How it's like a gardener pruning a plant, almost something like that.
Yeah, but we started off with building moderation tools because we thought, okay, like let's automate this. We started building in AI tools to catch things so we didn't have to do all the work manually. And then we thought, why don't we just give these tools to our community managers and allow them to do the moderation and give them these tools that make it really easy, but also let them make their own choices. So that's the direction that we're shifting in. So you can, enable certain tools that helps you moderate. You have all sorts of like entry options to screen who comes into your community. And then it's up to them. I mean, we're being selective on what kinds of communities can join because we don't want to be a place where we don't want to promote hate. We don't want to promote discrimination. Like our whole mission is about creating a sense of belonging and inclusion. So we are not going to be a free for all where any kind of community goes, but we also want to give a lot of power to the community managers.
What's been the kind of uptake and from your new audience? How's it been received, this pivot? Because it's one thing to think that you're making the right decision, but it's another thing to see it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have people who are really sad that there is not this friendship app where you can find people who share your interests all over the world. But we also have people that are really excited about what we're building and the fact that we're really focused on user experience. We're really focused on creating something simple and clean. We're really focused on testing and making sure that we're providing value to our target customers. So I think there's a lot of holes in the solutions out there. And because we're talking to so many people and interviewing them and actually, in a sense, co-creating this platform with community managers, we're trying to address as many of those needs as possible. With this concept of come on board, yes, we're an early product, but you can help us shape it into what you need and the tool that you've been waiting for.
Yeah, and I think being one of the first to start has that advantage, right? And so you will get, and they will also give you some great feedback, because it's actually about also what the customer wants, right? What works,
Yeah.
and you can, do the loop and apply it to another customer as well. Add features that the other customer doesn't know that they want yet. Um, but thinking on that, where do you think it's going next? Are you expanding in geographies, or in what or in types of clients, or?
Yeah, one of the things we ended up building, because we were building at initially more of a B2C platform, is the ability to have multiple communities in one space, which means that when you have really large global networks, you end up not really being able to accommodate all those people inside one community, but you need to actually have multiple communities and be managing all these different communities. And within those communities, you can have subgroups as well. And I think this is something that it's a bit hard to find right now that's done well. Can get really messy, and we're trying to do it in a really simple way where you could be some organization that has 150 different chapters in different cities, and each one could have its own community, but people could join multiples and they could switch between them very easily, and it could be all under one umbrella, and suddenly you have your own community website or community app, and it's branded and it feels like it's yours, it's inside of your website, and you did it really easily. You're not paying like developers to maintain it, and we're powering the whole thing for you. And that's the direction that we want to go, because we're really passionate about connecting people globally, about creating this intimate kind of sense of belonging, even though people are distributed around the world, about using the tools that we had initially created around meeting people in person to help people say, okay, I'm traveling tomorrow to Hong Kong. Who in this community that I'm a part of can I have lunch with? And really just starting to build these connections between people you might never have met because you didn't have the right tools to find them.
And do you know anyone that's used it and have got some good stories? Any examples of stuff? Maybe the audience are thinking, "Hey, maybe I can promote this at my company." So,
yeah, I mean, originally on our friendship app side, we had a lot of success stories coming our way. People who found language exchange partners. Someone actually ended up at someone's wedding that they met through Panion, which is pretty cool. Lots of different interesting stories about people writing to us, just being like, "Thank you. Like, I moved to this place, and without your app, I would have just like felt so lonely." And these are really cool things to hear. Um, and now I'd say like we actually get a lot of startups because they have this idea to build a community around a topic. For example, we had a startup who was interested in building a skateboarding community, and they were going to build like their entire tech and try to raise money to build this tech product. And I was like, why don't you validate it using another tech platform? Build it out, see if you even need to build your own tech, because maybe you can put your energy into actually building the community and adding different ways to monetize from within that community, and you don't need to have your own tech built, because I mean, building a community platform is complex. and why not focus on building the community itself? So I think a lot of startups have been coming to us thinking, okay, this community needs to exist. I thought I wanted to build the technology behind it, but then I'm realizing there's shortcuts to that, and I can still make a lot of money on my product without having to get a whole development team and build this out. And that's probably the hardest part I think anyone struggles with, is like, how do you even build a tech team, and how do you even maintain it, and how do you get the money to keep it going and running all the servers and all of this? And if you have a company that can do that for you, and then you can focus on the what's most important, which is your customers and the marketing and the concept, it actually can make you more successful as well in terms of monetizing your community.
But the same question right back at you. How do you do it? You know, and you're pivoting in COVID, and you've got these big plans to go further. So how do you do it? And have you got any tips for us even? And what do you not do? Well, what have you missed? You know, what do you think that you should do better?
I think one thing everyone realizes they can always be doing better is improving their process, iterating on their process. And we've been doing that for years now, and we still have a long way to go. But I think we're getting better. We've gotten a lot better, and we've been able to move faster. I think I've gone through a few different developers, and then I found a partner that had as much passion about Panion as I did, and he helped us build a team. And I think it's about the right people, and I think it's important to include everyone in your wins and your successes, and in understanding why you're building the product and understanding the mission. Because if you just have, I mean, we've built everything mostly through contractors. We've had a few employees here and there, but we really have this mindset of allowing people to be remote and looking for the best people who are the most passionate about what we're doing and who have the skills that we need no matter where in the world they are, rather than trying to hire everyone in one location. So we've been remote and with this kind of mindset since before COVID. And that has allowed us to go really far because we haven't been limited by location. We also feel like our platform is about people, and it's about belonging, and it's about creating these diverse perspectives, and we can't do that without a diverse team. So it was important that we had people from around the world, that we had people that had very different perspectives that could bring that into our product. So I would say that is one strength, that really not being bound by location has really made this easier for us. And number two is I think team culture is really important, because you know, when you build something and you feel like a family and you really are doing something together and you're sharing the successes, people feel motivated. And even people that might not be so close, they might be, you know, far away, they're still really driven by knowing that something they built has led to some sort of success or has moved the whole team collectively forward. So I think the team is really, really important, and that you have fun together, and that you create something together, and that this isn't just work and stress and, you know, hurry up, let's get this done. You know, like we are trying to work fast, but we're also trying to really enjoy ourselves and feel proud of what we're building together.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of the inverse of what normally people say. Most people say, hey, you know, we want people together in the location. You know, we need to see each other to build up the relationships and become a strong team. You know, that's what all the adventure days about. You know, that people sell, that they all go together on a hiking trip and get lost somewhere. You know,
We want
yeah.
to do that as well. COVID has made that difficult, but we will do those things. I just don't think we need to be every day in an office together all the time. I think because it's harder to have the kind of different perspectives if you're hiring everyone in one location.
And I suppose your customers are also going to be in different locations as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that way you're covering. But how do you even find people? Like in general, one of the reasons just doing it locally is because your network's here, right? It's pretty easy. Well, it's not that easy. I'm not a startup founder. You said you had some problems yourself when you were doing it locally, but it's much easier than trying to find someone across the world?
I don't know. I think we're so connected now through LinkedIn, through all these different spaces. Um, I've lived in a lot of countries, so my network kind of spans a lot of places. We put out job posts. Uh, yeah, I mean, it hasn't been so difficult, to be honest. People refer people, people find our ads, they share it. And it's also a really good promotion for your product when you put out job ads, because then people explore and they see. And I think it's interesting. It's been a really big learning curve for me to know how to hire people. Before this, I was a freelancer. I worked for myself for a very long time, and I've never been someone's boss before. I've never had to lead a team. I've never had to hire people. And suddenly I had to learn how to do all of that really quickly. And hiring is one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my life. And it's something that I feel like I still have a lot to learn. But it's also been really interesting to understand people in a new way, to know how to ask the right questions, look for the right signs that that's the right fit for your company. And I think one of the key things that I'm looking for always is people's passion for what we're doing. And sometimes, you ask people, why do you want to work for us? And it's just like, oh, I need a change, or oh, I wanted to move to this city. And they don't even mention like anything about your company or your product, or that they even tried it or anything. And you're like, no, like you want people that are so excited to be part of it because they believe in the same mission, they have the same values as you, and that makes it a lot easier to weed people out. But it's amazing. You learn a lot about people when you're trying to hire, for sure.
Yeah, but and after the hiring is the next stage, right? It's the onboarding and then the coaching and then the continuous professional development and trying to keep them. Maybe they're going. What happens? What happens at your company? You're a startup, I suppose.
It's a lot. It's actually we have someone new who specializes in this actual topic, who's joined our team recently, who is helping create the strategy and figure out how to be able to retain people better, how to onboard them better, how to make sure that we choose the right people, that we can give them incentives, all of that. I think it's an art in and of itself, and it's hard to figure out how to do all of that well while you're also running every other aspect of your company. So I think it's actually important to find someone who can just be about the people and building the team and the culture and making sure people are onboarded and integrated properly. It's a huge component that you kind of think in your head, oh, when I'm bigger, like I'll worry about that. But it's so important so early on. I think you can be a very small team and you still really need someone who's on top of all of that.
Yeah, and so for you now, you've been able to release that, to delegate that to someone else, and you can focus and I think that's also something that as an entrepreneur, it happens to a lot of people. You start doing stuff that you're not necessarily good at, or even if you are good at it, you don't necessarily like, or even if you even like it and you're good at it, it's just not the thing that is going to bring the most value to the company.
Mm.
And you've only got two pairs of hands, and you have to think, where can I put the best people so that we like have a like collective higher intelligence as just 1 + 1 + 1, it's just like you want a multiplier,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's something that as you evolve, the bigger you get, the harder it gets to manage that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, and in terms of your team, what would you say that they're most proud of so far?
I mean, I'm sure they'll all have different answers, but I think what's really exciting is like we started this new practice where we do team testing whenever we have a new build of our product. We have the entire team test it and basically give feedback on everything that needs to be improved. And I think it's really cool for people to see like all the new changes that come out every month, or because we're working so hard on something and then suddenly you get it in your hands and you get to play with it and try it and you see how the product has evolved. and you see how your contributions are reflected in that product. And I think that's a really rewarding experience. And I like that it gets to be shared with the entire team. I also think, again, this idea of people having different perspectives, it's really important to have as many different types of people testing your product. And when we started doing this with the whole team, then we got these perspectives. I also think it's really important for your whole team, no matter where they are, whether they're in marketing, they're in product itself, they're in people management, that everyone really knows the ins and outs of what you're building and what you're selling. And this makes sure that they know that, because they know every time, every new feature that comes out, they've been part of testing it and making decisions about it. So I think this was a really important thing that we started doing, and I think people are pretty proud and excited to see when something gets implemented that they were contributing to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And in terms of yourself, you've come a long way as well. I saw that you've been in Sifted for pivoting during COVID, and you're also nominated and as female founder of the year in Sweden. Is there something that stands out for you from what you did, or was it? How did it happen? What was the key point where you just got it all together?
I don't think there's any key point. I think it's just pushing forward, and just believing in what you're building. And, during the hard times, just having that belief that, you're going towards, you see this end goal of getting your product out into people's hands and into the world. And this endless process of growing and learning new things and evolving yourself as a person. So I don't think there's like one key point or there's one end point, even, that it's just this. For me, I love the process. I think the process of solving problems, the process of learning new things, the process of becoming better at managing the team, the process of expanding the team and the product, and finding new customers, all of that is really exciting. And I think about it and I'm like, okay, like at the end of the day, I'm just happy about how much I've already learned in this process. Even if today were the last day, I've grown a lot. I've learned how to do a lot of things outside my comfort zone. If I were to create a new product or a new company or build a new team today, I would be starting at a completely different point. So I think for me, it is really about the process and also getting to know myself in a new way, being in such a different role, something I've never done before. And also the people that I've been able to connect with along the way. I mean, our team has changed and grown and gotten bigger and smaller, but all of the people that have come through, I've had some sort of special connection with, and I keep in touch with most of them. And there's just been so many collective positive experiences together. And all of those memories, I think, have definitely changed me a lot.
That's awesome. So what do you need? It's all what do you need now? It's you've overcome the wobbles along the way.
We need people who want to test our product and give us feedback. We need investment. We need customers. We need advisors. I mean, there's a lot that we need for sure. I think what we really need are customers that want to co-create something with us, that want to be part of the journey, that believe in our team and what we're building, and can be patient and want to actually help us grow something, grow our product into something that they truly believe will benefit them long term. Because I think that's one of the most stressful things. You're always trying to sell a product that's not finished, and you know the roadmap, you know where it's going, and you're always like, oh, I just want to wait till it's here and then I'll sell it, but you can't. And so if you can find the right customers who actually just believe in the vision and believe that you're the right people to build the product that they need, and they want to go along for the ride, I mean, I think that's what we need, and that's what we're looking for. And those are the people we're finding, but we'd love to find more of them.
Absolutely. And And is there a certain sector, or is
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sector as in we really interested in impact driven communities around a cause, communities that are trying to change the world in some way, shared experience communities. We're really about bringing as much impact as we can and helping those kinds of communities that also bring impact, helping them bring more impact. So for us, and large global communities are definitely something we're interested in, because we feel like our platform can really accommodate them in a way that a lot of other tools can't.
Yeah, so that's a shout out to everyone who's involved with World Startup, people who are watching today live or watching online, after watching the recording. Get in touch if you can put Panion in touch with communities. If you've got ideas, want to co-develop with them, because this is a journey that they're going on, and we're only just starting. And I'd like to really thank you, Melanie, for it's the time flew, so we're already up. I have to cut it a bit abruptly. If you've got a last thing that you want to say, you can throw it in. But
I mean, I guess the last thing I would say as a tip for people is that I think the thing I learned along the way is that there's so much advice about what you should do, what you're supposed to do, and what boxes you're supposed to tick in order to get this funding, in order to be this kind of company. And I think what I've realized is, like, I really just don't care anymore about fitting into any box. I think that you just have to go with what feels right and follow your gut and be authentic and believe in what you're doing. And somebody will recognize that. Someone who gets that will recognize it, and you'll find the right people to join you along the way.
yeah, and a motivational tip as well. And
Yeah.
thanks very much. Well, next time it will be 1st of June, and that's the Hotel School, the Hague Hub edition. So tune in then to have another great session. Thanks everyone for joining, and those of you who are watching the recording online, and have a good day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.